For those of you who've never used HTML code, we're going to take a stab at making a very simple web page. This is really going to test the limits of my memory. It's been a very long time since I've actually used HTML. Now I use software. I use web page software editing programs to work on web pages. But this is an interesting way for you to see what's actually behind each web page. So we need a very, very simple word processing program. So I went to the Start menu and looked to see what was already there. And under Accessories, I found Notepad. So it's a no-frills place to write some text. You could use any text editor you want. And what we need to do is learn about the term tags. A tag in HTML code is always inside of brackets. And the first thing we do with a web page is we have to declare the document type. So we start out with an open bracket, exclamation point, DOC type, DOCTYPE, HTML. And every tag starts with an open bracket, close the bracket. And that is going to be at the beginning of every one of your coding pages. There's a lot more that you can put as a header to a page as well, but we're doing just the very basic, simplest steps we can think of here. Okay, then we start by saying that we are using HTML. And then the parts of our document, we are going to start the body of our file. And do you have to hit the return? You don't have to. Do you have to double space? No. You could hit the return 3 times, 4 times, 400 times. It's going to be ignored. So the returns are simply to make it easier for us to read what we are typing in our text file here. Okay, now I'm going to, I think you've all seen many times header 1, header 2 as styles. So let's see what those look like. So I'm going to start the tag H1, which says I'm going to use the header 1 size. That's going to be a large heading line, and I'm going to use caps here, and I'm going to say welcome to my first web page. And I'm actually going to say my first MUHS web page. And you can do the same. And our tag is open. Now we close it. So I'm going to put the bracket and a slash and an H1, and that closes the tag. So if every tag gets opened and closed, then we know that. We could go down a ways here because I'm going to insert above that. We know that eventually we're going to want to close the body tag, so we do a bracket slash body, and we're going to do a bracket slash HTML. So the only thing that really doesn't get anything that matches with it is that very first doc type statement. But otherwise, every time we open a tag in brackets, we close it with a bracket slash and then that same tag. Okay, what I expect to see so far when I actually open this page in a browser, none of these are going to show us anything except this between the heading 1 tags is going to be printed as text. And it's going to be printed in large heading 1 size text. And I noticed I did caps on those other words, so I'll just change that. And now I'm still between my two, the body open and the body closed tag. So let's investigate some other things that you probably can already predict what's going to happen. So for example, let's try header 3. I want that to be an H3 tag, and whatever text I put here, are we assuming that it will appear in a font a little bit smaller than the heading 1? So you could put your name here or anything else. And when we open a tag, we should close it. So I do a bracket slash H3 is closed. And just so we have comparison, we can, let's go to a header 6. That's the smallest header, H6. And we'll open that, and we'll say this font will be heading 6, very small. And then let's close H6, bracket slash H6. And now each of these will appear on their own line because headings are considered standalone objects. When you change from heading 1 to heading 2, it's designed, the code is recognized as creating a new line. But if I do some others, if I do some other text without heading styles, then I have to tell what, by using tags, that I want to go to new lines. So for example, I'm going to right now do the tag bracket B, which is boldface. And just to make it easy when we read this, this is what bold will look like. Not going to be a very interesting web page. And then we close our bold tag. And then I'm going to just show you a couple here. You don't have to memorize any of this. I believe that we could change our font. So I think we can do font face. And then the name of any font that is recognized here. Let's go with Verdana. And the font colors come from recognizable colors. Let's put green here. We'll see if that works. And I'm going to close the font choice there. The tag. And then I'm going to print some text. So, will this text be green? So we'll check out whether that works. So now we close our font tag. And let's do a couple more just so you get the idea that you would, if you were going to do a lot of HTML coding, you've got to remember all these tags. I think there's, I don't know, 89, 85, something like that, tags originally in HTML. So this Q is going to print quotation marks. So this text, if I could type, will be in quotes. And I close the tag /Q. And we might also, you might be interested in the tag block quote. That's a term that we use when we do MLA formatting of papers, when you do a very long quote. This long quote will be indented from the left margin. And I'm just going to save some time here, I'm just going to copy that to the clipboard and paste it in here a couple more times. And you might say, what's going on? I guess maybe I'm going to undo that because our simple word processors don't have wraparound. I'm going to undo that, paste a little bit here and get back. So that's a little hard for you to see on the video because it's running off the screen. So I'm just going to hit the return key and paste it, hit the return key and paste it. But the return key is pretty meaningless when we do HTML. So then I'm going to end our block quote. So we've got to do our close tag /block quote. And we can come back and edit here if you have any typing mistakes. And I guess maybe one more thing here. Let's show you what it would look like if you want to put an image into your web page. So the tag is img for image, and then we need to give it the source. And then we need to put a URL. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, I think I have a browser back here. Let me drag that into my video window. So I am at Google, and that's a little enlarged, so let me just zoom back in so you can see it. Oh, let's look for the image of the MUHS logos. And let's take this Marquette High shield. So I'm right-clicking, and I'm going to copy the URL of the image to the clipboard. And now I'm just going to drag this window a little bit so I can get back to my notepad. Keep those windows available so I can go back there. And now I've got the URL address of that image, and I just put it in quotation marks here, I hope, and ignore how long it is. It is a huge URL address, but no worries. We close the quotation mark, type a quotation mark, and then one thing you should always add, you've maybe noticed that when you roll over an image, it will tell you what a name is in words. I think that's important in deference to folks who have visual disabilities. I think these alternate phrases are often read by software that's available to help folks with sight issues. And then we do a slash close quote. So around that URL, I put quotation marks, and then I put alt with my alternate phrase, and then I did the slash bracket. So the whole image is in the open and close bracket. So that looks a little bit different than other tags. And let me just scroll back over here. Hopefully you were able to follow along with that. Otherwise, if you missed this, anything about this image, no problem. You can come back and try that again later, or it just won't appear. Okay, so I've got my website will be doing several things. The only problem that I have here is if I look at my text, heading 1 will be on a line all by itself, as will heading 3 and heading 6. I don't have any double spacing there. These two lines, this one is boldface, and this one is going to be in green in Verdana, and this one's going to be in quotes, but those three will not be on separate lines. They will be on one horizontal line unless you add another tag surrounding them. So I'm going to click right before the bold tag, and I'm going to put a tag with a P for a paragraph mark. So a return is a paragraph mark. And I'm going to put the close tag right at the end of that line. And I'm going to do that on the next line as well. I'm going to go to a new paragraph. That's the same as saying put in a return. And by the way, it's a nice thing I'm going here. Do you see that I have two left brackets? You maybe didn't do that mistake. That should be a right bracket. And now I'm going to do the /P to close that tag. And one more place I'm going to put a return. The block quote. And this is the problem with entering anything in code, is you might have to come back several times to make sure you catch all of your errors. If you wanted several blank lines, what could we do? We could open a paragraph tag and we could close it with nothing in between. So that should give us a blank space in between. Okay, well, enough. You got the idea of how, and it can be pretty tedious to enter all of these lines of code. Let's do a save, and unfortunately that's going outside my video window, so I'm just going to drag this over so you can see what the file menu is going to do. So I'm going to save this as, and now a big important step here, go to any folder that you want. I'm in a computer science folder and a website folder in between, and I'm going to name this whatever I want. I'm going to call this first page. And a very important thing if you want a browser to be able to open it, let's put the extension .html. So you have to put the extension .html there yourself because this Notepad program only thinks we're doing text documents. So put your own extension there and then let's save. And now I'm going to go to computer. I already have this open. You could go back to my computer and get to that folder. I just did this first page. And why does it have a Chrome symbol? Because of this extension HTML. And Chrome is my default browser. So it'll get the icon of whatever your default browser is. And let's see if I double click on it. And now I'm going to drag this back. Let's see what happened with our very first web page. So there's our header 1. There's our header 3. There's header 6, very small. So heading lines get separated. We didn't have to put in the paragraph tag. But these lines would have all been on the same line had we not put in the paragraph tags. And remember, this one is in Verdana font and it's green. This is what a block quote looks like. It's indented from the left. That's called a block quote. And notice that we typed these in on separate lines, but we didn't use the paragraph symbol. So they are all, and it's just wraparound. If I resize this window, watch what happens if I resize that window. So there's no paragraphs here. And there's our image that we inserted. You could also use tags to change the height and width of an image if you didn't want it to be its original size. So obviously there is a lot more to learn about HTML, but that gives you a taste.